I'm Hitesh, and I've been in crypto since last 7 years. I'm into content creation. I'm into venture investing. I also founded different startup in my career. And today we have Ayush Ranjan with us. Today we have a very amazing entrepreneur. So I will start with Ayush. Can you share what part of the physical network Huddle is trying to decentralize, and what is the benefit of decentralize that particular physical network, and what is the positive outcome of all the attempt you are making here?
Yeah, I think thanks for having me and great audience as usual. So I think regarding a question on the benefits of DePIN, I think the first thing is that is regarding, I think all the panelists will agree, is the decrease in the capex and the opex costings. The whole capital expenditure which is required to build these different kind of networks which are centralized in nature is extremely expensive. It's extremely time taking, and it takes a lot of, I'll say, efforts in terms of the monetary value as well. And same is the operational expenditure. You need to always keep on having that plus a central point of failure. Giving a very simple example would be something I think which Aarti would talk about would be something like AT&T. I believe that building those kind of networks requires tens of years to do that. But if you are able to, and also the whole capital expenditure costing is so high that you need to spend a lot of money, tend to get a return ROI out of it. And with DePIN, which is called decentralized physical infrastructure networks, you can basically decrease this time so fast and also give that power back to the people. Now, on the question of what all things could be a decentralized physical infrastructure networks, I think there's a very good categorization done by the Masari team. I'll give the shout out to Sami from the Masari team, where there are different networks which could be storage network. Filecoin is a great part of it. There could be something like CDN, like Fleek. There are compute networks, something which Spheron is building. There are transportation networks with something like Firdosh is building, and there are other networks. I think the whole holy grail was Helium when they came into picture on the 5G and LoRaWAN itself. So I think there, and then on the transcoding side, there's something like LivePeer, and then on the RTC side, which is that how do you make real-time communication networks decentralized, we are there. So we'll see a various kind of networks which takes a lot of infrastructure, lot of time, lot of servers. In general, we'll see those getting built by in a much more bottom-up fashion by the people. So yeah, I'm excited about it, and we'll see more categorization. DePIN is still very broad right now. We'll see more specific categorizations of that. But yeah, exciting future in the next couple of years.
So right now it is kind of the building the infra phase, then a lot of different application can be explored, right? Even Web2 business can explore different application using the Web3 infra has been built by DP network. So that is very exciting, I would say. And so what is your insight on this, Firdos? Like what kind of physical network you are building? And it is something very exciting. You are directly competing with Ola, Uber, and all these taxi aggregators. So yeah, would like to know your insight on that.
Thank you so much. I guess for us, the basic idea of why we built Drive was very basic reason that we want to empower the community who has made ride-hailing platforms huge. Like, they are multi-billion-dollar ventures now. But if you look back at the livelihood of drivers specifically, they're still struggling to make their livelihood. That in itself says there's something that is missing. And that's what we at Drive is trying to fix is the broken pieces of the puzzle. No doubt centralization has brought us here, but what is going to take us ahead from here is the decentralization of giving back community the power to control the ecosystem that they are part of, but most importantly having a say. I guess freedom is something that has been taken for granted, and that's what we at Web3 as an ecosystem also speaks about, that there's a lot that has been taken away from we as a community, and that's what community deserves to get back. That is freedom, and that's what we at Drive are doing, is basically giving you your own freedom to choose for yourself. Now, in your own journey of using Web2 application, you don't understand that the very basic of your own freedom to make your own choice has been taken away from you. Very basic example of what we at Drive do is allow you as a user to choose your price and choose your driver for yourself, which you don't get allowed to do when you use any other ride-hailing ride-hailing application, the only choice you make is where you're going. Apart from that, every choice for you is been made by the ride-hailing platform, and your own personal preference is never taken into consideration. Now, as I said, like not a lot of people still care about your own freedom. It's gonna take some more time and few more years for people to realize that what has been taken away from you. Very basic of, your own shopping experience. Do you really think what you're shopping, you are doing it because of your own consciousness? You're not. You're being manipulated so much that now you don't even realize that. And that's what we at Drive, and I guess anybody who's building a decentralized version of absolutely anything that exists today is trying to give you back your own freedom, build community-owned products, and which is very important, specifically of how much we are being controlled without even realizing how we are controlled. And it's very dangerous. We don't even realize that that is happening to us. And that's what we want to change at Drive. Give drivers ownership of 100% of the fare, because they deserve to earn what we as rider pay, and give riders the flexibility to choose for yourself, be it the fare that you're paying, the driver that you're paying for, and how much and for whom I'm paying it for. I want to know that. And I said, it's going to take a lot of time for people to have that realization. And I guess we, among all of us, we are in the forefront of trying to achieve that in the first place. I guess, even trying that in the first place is like a big step that, all of us are working towards.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I think Ola and Uber driver always had that problem of fare incentive. And even on the end user side, we have no clue. Sometimes we see a higher price, sometimes we see a lower price. There is no fixed parameter of these pricing models. This could be probably solved with Derive. And I would like to know, like, what kind of hardware device a car driver need to install in the car.
So I guess, the most important hardware devices that absolutely everyone have access to today is a mobile application. Their own mobile phone is a hardware devices that we should not underestimate. And for us, it's a mobile application. Drive as an application is just like any other ride-hailing application for both driver and rider. So you install your Drive application, be it a driver and rider, and you can use it as simple as any other Web2 application that you're using. I guess that's also what we as a Web3, as a community has to achieve, like, build simple user interfaces that's so easy for people that you don't have to teach people what is Web3, what is crypto, why there's this technology being used. And Drive is live in Bangalore. A lot of people might have already used Drive. You can download Drive, use it here in Bangalore, and you won't even realize there's a Web3 aspect to it that exists in the application. You use the application for the benefit that it gives to you.
That is amazing. And I think that was missing in terms of Web3 products. They need to work more on building this Web2 level of experience. I would probably download Derive today and will probably try it out today itself. Thank you for the insight. Prashant, you are also building this very important infra for developers too, because they need all kind of compute network. They need resources to deploy applications. So would like to know more from you, like what kind of approach you are using here and what kind of physical networks you are building here. Who are the network participant of the Spheron network? And like what kind of problem you are solving and what could be the positive outcome of all this effort you are doing here?
So for us, the problem statement was very simple, is how we can enable Web3 products to move to start utilizing the Web3 infrastructure. And when we talk about Web3 infrastructure, it has a couple of components. The one is called storage, the other is the compute space. We are both. Like in the storage side, we work closely with Filecoin team and IPFS and all of these protocols which we work with. On the compute side, what we were like looking into is like, if you look at in the today's perspective, most of the chains, most of the applications which are getting built, they all are either get deployed on AWS, GCP, or DigitalOcean somewhere else. And to my philosophy specifically, if you're talking about on the Web3 terms, it has to be deployed on somewhere more decentralized. When we say decentralized, there are a lot of always this conceptual differences which happen. So sometimes people think like decentralization is just means like nobody can censor you or all of those things. But apart from that, decentralization has other aspect as well. It has the money aspect where you lower your cost of operations, which Ayush has mentioned as well, on the operation cost, and all of those areas where we cover. Now coming to Spheron specifically, what we try to enable is we allow developers, companies to go and lease out compute spaces across the world without locking yourself to any one specific vendor. So let's say if you go to AWS today, you start using their services in and out, and then you lock yourself there. Now, what is the biggest challenge there? if they increase a dollar amount into that, you are going to hit a lot, right? That is one thing. Second thing is like now, if even one day, if their infrastructure goes down, your entire chain, which we are calling as a decentralized chain, won't be a decentralized chain anymore. What we are trying to enable that, with our approach, we are trying to bring multiple data centers at one place and allowing users, like any one of the builders or any one of the companies or the chains, to choose from those providers. Now, the fallback of this mechanism is very 100% secure and proof. Like it cannot be go down very easily. Like so, you have to literally at the same point of time you have to attack hundreds of data centers at the same time, which is next to impossible. I'm not saying it is not possible. I'm saying next to impossible. So that is how we are kind of reducing from this Spheron angle. And apart from that, there is one composable item at Spheron, which I just wanted to add on as well, is like, if you go today, and we talk about the adoption at Spheron very heavily. Like, so when we talk about DePIN, we can talk about supplying the demand. We can talk about creating the supply side and doing all of those things. What happens if there is no demand? What happens if people don't even need all of those things, right? So how exactly we can drive the demand? So on the demand side at Spheron, what we are trying to build is making sure the abstraction which is getting built on top of it, it's world class. It should be as comparable to the Web 2, so that any protocols or any apps who are looking to use decentralized infrastructure should not have a bottleneck of going to that traditional way of utilizing Web3 products. So you log into Spheron, you go and launch it, and it should be that easy. And not only that, it should be very composable on the protocol layer as well, where you should be able to plug any kind of providers directly into your existing infrastructure. So that is what we are trying to enable at Spheron.
I think it is also something where the cost will be also reduced as compared to Web 2 peers.
Yeah, so if you ask me the cost, it's generally what we have seen, it gives you 30 to 40% cheaper cost in a worst case scenario I'm talking about. So if you have written a code which is not even optimized and whatever, then also you get 30 to 40% cheaper. Now if you have optimized your code and everything is up and solid and everything is running, then you can go 50, 60%, 70% saving from what you are paying now. And that too without doing a lot of effort. So let's say if you want to save AWS bill today, you have to go and hire an AWS agent or somebody like from who has a very good understanding of AWS. They'll come, they will help you understand, they will help you to reduce 10% of that cost. Here you don't have to worry about all of those things. You just shift and that saving is already there.
It saves time, saves cost, increase efficiency, increase productivity. Developer can shift faster than what they are doing right now. Amazing. So Helium is something which is, I'm a big fan of Helium, by the way, and I have also talk about Helium a lot on my Twitter page. And Helium is, they have the only startup, I would say, in the DePIN sector who have embarked this journey of 1 to 10. And they are now moving to this application layer, and they have recently launched this data package, which is providing $5, like literally you can buy a data package at a cost of $5 in US, which was not possible before. And on the infra side, I think Helium has done an amazing job, more than 200K, or maybe I may be wrong here, more than 200K people have joined Helium network, and even a lot of people from India are also mining Helium through Helium hotspot. So would like to know more from you, like how was that journey so far? Like you are one of those startup which is kind of inspiration to all the DePIN startups, right? So how was the journey of building this infra layer, and what is the way forward from here?
Sure. So I think one thing that is common from all the builders here is they are really not thinking about crypto first. They are all thinking, like Ayush, right? They are thinking about how to solve the real world problem with crypto. So incentives, think about it as just a passive income, right? It's on the side. When Helium started back then in 2013, they were focused more on the IoT network. They were building end-to-end solutions for tracking solutions, cold supply chain, temperature monitoring. When you build a full-end wireless network all the way from the sensors to the gateways to the backhauls, you often run into a problem of what happens when your sensor leaves the campus. What happens when a mobile phone, like you leave your home and you are on the way to office, you are obviously not going to go around the town asking people for their Wi-Fi passwords, right? This was the initial idea that really drove Helium and is now the largest decentralized wireless network. The founders wanted to coat the world in an internet coverage, and as they mentioned, DePIN is how to bootstrap that initial marketplace. There was so many LoRaWAN sensors that the demand was there. But again, it's a chicken and egg problem, right? Nobody wants to use a network that doesn't have a coverage. So how do you build that coverage, right? So yeah, 2019, I think Helium was one of the first who started the network. And yeah, that's our IoT network right now is the largest Internet of Things network. So if you are building an IoT network, like Helium is the only option you have to launch your applications.
Also, I think a partnership played its own crucial role here, right? Because in the Helium, in case of Helium, they have partnered with T-Mobile, and with that partnership, they managed to launch that kind of applications of data package side, right?
So mobile, right? Helium Mobile is the hottest thing right now. They launched $5 in Miami with a plan to launch all over the United States. So how is DePIN enabling it, right? People who are on the mobile network, now you can become your own cell phone towers. Why would we give back to larger corporations, right? I landed in India just 2 days ago, and I had to go to Geo to get an eSIM. I spent 40 minutes in the Geo shop and did the whole process 3 times. I had to do it 3 times because Geo did not have internet connection in the shop, right? Like, we are talking about bringing the people, like you and I, we can deploy mobile hotspots in our home, on top of our roof, climb mountains, and provide internet coverage to a whole region, right? That's the power of DePIN. We are solving a problem. And I think with the $5 mobile plan, something that's really exciting that's happening on the mobile network is you can turn on discovery mapping, and then you start getting rewarded. So people are paying for their mobile plans using these rewards that they get. So yeah, I personally believe that DePIN is going to bring the next billion users on crypto, because we are all crypto novices.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for your insight. Ayush, would like to know from you about the bootstrapping phase, where the token incentive plays own role, and sometimes when we look at the DePIN project, the token inflation is pretty much high, right? So even the Helium, we have 40 years plan, Filecoin have 10 years plan. It is a lot of time. It is sometimes 10 years of vesting schedule for these tokens, which could probably come into circulation. And then on the demand side, they have this BME model. A lot of DePIN are using this BME model where they are burning token to reduce the inflation, right? So also to reach at the stage where demand may overtake supply, and then the token price could also sustain, because in the end, network participant could also need to make some healthy reward, right? And that has also been a problem with Helium and also other DePIN project in the bear cycle, right? A lot of hotspot provider were having this problem that they were not making enough money to sustain operations. So would like to know that, is there any other way to bootstrap the supply side, or token incentive is the only way? If token incentive is the only way, then what is the right way to, schedule this whole token inflation to reach that demand side sooner, which could probably make whole network participant happy?
Yeah, I think it's a tough question, and an exact answer is that we have to be very iterative. I don't have an exact answer on how we can develop a monetary and fiscal policy which is built in a manner which makes sure that the entry into the ecosystem is not at a very high steep cost. That's what happens with the projects. Like, if you bootstrap the supply side by having token incentives, people who come in early, they get they're able to spin up their own nodes, their own servers, and they get all the tokens at a very minimal price. And then over time, it's very difficult for people who, when the token price is soaring high, because now the token doesn't have value of just the supply side, but also as a value of this what we say is that a speculative content, speculative value, because now there's a marketing angle involved and stuff, and the token price soars high. So I think we have to stress a lot on crypto economics. By that, what I mean is that you need to have you need to have mechanism design people, you need to have people who understand monetary and fiscal policy to the T of it. There are a couple of talks. I think one of the talk which is happening post this is by Shruti. She's also leading crypto econ at Huddle 01, and she has been doing that for a long time. She's an advisor for us, and for a long time is trying to figure out that how do we build a cat models where you can make sure that it becomes kind of a full-fledged economy where the price doesn't go so high that nobody enters and the barrier to entry becomes very high into the ecosystem. What I can say is that on the demand side, what you can make sure is that your demand side is sorted. I think Prashant was talking about that, that even though you bootstrap the supply side, how do you get demand into picture? So what we can make sure is that you go in a progressively decentralized manner. What I believe personally is that on supply and demand side, the two-way marketplace, I would build demand first and progressively decentralize it, rather than building the supply first, getting all the supply in, and then building the demand. Um, and with Huddle, what we are doing is that we have built demand first. We have built a product, people love it. We have built an SDK, people love it. And we are not completely decentralized. But now since we have more than 3 million minutes of meeting on the platform and on the SDKs, now once we are decentralizing the network, the node operators know that uh, they will earn money even in this bear or a bull market because there's a lot of demand on their infrastructure already. So I don't need to give them a lot of flurry of incentives on day one on the supply side. So on supply side, I don't have to release a lot of tokens for them as an incentive layer. They will do that anyway because it becomes a bread and butter for them at the end of the day. So I think that's how you can operate it. We're building a demand side first, making sure you get a lot of demand sorted, and then build the supply side, and don't release a lot of token as an incentives. But yeah, much more nuance into it. And I don't have the complete knowledge lens on the monetary and fiscal policy, but yeah, it's a very underappreciated area. One also talked about it in his talk regarding crypto economics. I think it has the power to become crypto nation in itself, and do business dealings with the nation states like India, USA, and stuff. So, but we have to think very deeply about crypto economics. Is what my learning has been the last 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very impressive. I think building demand side is very crucial here because then once you have demand, then you can probably have lower incentive in place, and still network participant could be part of that infrastructure on the longer run. Firdaus, what is your take on that? Like you are also building the demand side along with the supply side you have. So how do you see this particular problem?
So at least for us, the demand and supply are way two different audience base. Like for us, it is driver on the supply side and users on the demand side. And fortunately, unfortunately, we don't have a crypto integration yet inside our application. So all the users that we have is purely because of the benefits that Drive provides to both driver and rider. And I've been saying this for a very long time to everyone. Can you think about your product without crypto? And that's very important. Will your product exist if crypto dies tomorrow? Should not. But we are at the end of the day building businesses, and at one point everybody has to agree in the Web3 ecosystem that we all are building businesses. And the most important aspect of your business is what is your USP, why you're building your product, why your users should be using your product. If crypto incentive is the only reason people gonna use your product, it's gonna die at one or the other point. And I guess that's what has happened with a lot of really good projects, because your whole business model was around crypto. That I'm gonna build this product which is basically copy paste of something in the web 2, and I'm gonna get the whole world on my application because I'm giving free crypto incentive. The day the crypto incentive is gonna die, and because you have created so much supply of your token for free of cost for the people, as soon as the token get listed, everybody's gonna dump it. Now what happens after that? After that, then you don't know how to get user on your platform. So that's very important, to build a really strong business model, revenue models around your business, which a lot of crypto people think that the business model and the revenue model is my crypto, which is a myth at the end of the day, because it's gonna not leave that cycle. And that's why a lot of product have a very short life cycle also, that because we built everything around crypto. And when we went out with Drive, and specifically because we're in Bangalore in India, we knew we cannot do it with crypto for sure. So we have we started selling Drive as a product, which is a competitor of Uber and Ola, which provides this benefit to driver. And for us, it was very important to get drivers on our side. So our narrative was, we're giving you what you've been asking for a very long time is we want ownership on the fare that I'm paying. And it's very important for all of us to understand that decentralization itself has so much to give, not just crypto, the transparency aspect of it, the empowerment aspect of it, how we can be fair to all the participant of the network. These are the things that we need to sell to audience, not just crypto, because it's very volatile ecosystem. Say if Bitcoin crashes, it will take all of us together with it. And can you afford to do that? You have spent so much time building your product, so it's very important to think beyond crypto. Build your product in a way like, what if there's no crypto? That's very important for you to get your user base, both demand and supply in place, and be there in the market for a long time. I guess everybody wants to build something for which can run for a decade, but do you have something in place which can run without crypto, without having crypto as an incentive? It's very important.
Yeah, that is amazing. I think, but still, DRive also have a token, right? DRive also has a token.
We,
Right?
we do have a token, but it is not yet integrated in the application. It's going to be part of it where driver and rider earn it as incentive, but that's not the incentive that we're going to give it for free of cost. We have included it in our own business model where the referral money is getting generated in the ecosystem. So how it works, basically, if I referred you to the platform, every time you take ride, I get to earn money in the form of DRF token, which is generating from the fare that you're paying. So we are not distributing anything for free, because if you keep gonna do that, where the crypto has been distributed from the ecosystem fund that you have, it will die at one or the other point. So the most important thing that you need as a project to do is how do you create demand for your token from your own ecosystem, because supply you have any which ways with you. How you will create demand from the people for your token, so you will be able to distribute your token, and the token supply is not out there, unlimited supply out there with nobody having a demand for your token.
Awesome. So since it's a reward token, there should be enough demand within the ecosystem, so people probably use within the ecosystem. Got it. So, yeah, Prashant, what is your take on that? Like, how you are trying to manage the supply-demand side for Spheron?
For us, we are currently focused more on the demand side versus on the supply because we have enough supply. The only thing which we need on the supply side is the right incentive to be aligned. So what we are trying to, like what she was mentioning also, is around build a product which people will pay for and then use that same payment model to give it back to the community and then try to bootstrap that initial demand from there and then offload that demand to that supply side and then start like bootstrapping the supply as heavy depending on like how much demand you are getting. So that is what our take also on the Spheron side as well. So our main focus and the core focus is always going to be generate as much demand as possible and slowly and progressively move toward more decentralized approach where we will allow any network participant to become the part of the network and start providing the compute power. And depending on that compute capacity power provided, they will get incentivized from the demand which we have getting. We are not going to be incentivizing the people just on the speculative price, but yes. I would also like to add one more disclaimer here is like the price of any kind of token is not depending on the product also in crypto. Okay, to be very honest. None of the crypto who is worth, I'll not take their names, but they don't even worth that much if you kind of start looking on the value capturing point of view. Sometimes to drive the supply, drive the demand, you need capital. And to need capital, you need a speculative market to be created. If there is no speculative market, you will never have money to bootstrap anything. Okay, or you go to the VC route or you go all other routes, that's a very different route. And the moment you go into that route, then again you are centralizing yourself to some central powers like who will be defining your future versus the community is defining your future. So there are a lot of things which comes into that. So I personally am a believer of both, a very good product, good speculation, good supply, and good demand. If you mix them well, properly, it will work. It might also not work. But most of the time which we have seen is if you have a high speculation market, where people are more expecting from you, then chances for your survival is going to increase because crypto is about the money market. The more capital you have, the resources, the better option you will have to survive in the market. So that is what my take is going to be, and that is what we are focused on is Spheron.
Awesome. So do you have any plan to launch token also?
If you ask me openly,
Yeah.
I don't know. We might launch, we might not launch.
Because I think they might be might not be a case because in the case your target audience is developers, right? So
It doesn't matter. So if we start looking into that perspective, our target audience is not just a developer. It is the companies, the chains, and everyone, right? Now, even if it is a developer, so can't developers can't be the part of a speculative market from the day one? Yes, I got Gitcoin grant around $60,000. Like I airdrop. I remember that. I got ENS airdrop. I got all of those. I was a developer at that point of time. So that changes the life of multiple developers around the world if we go with that speculative market route also. So if you ask me on the token perspective, yes, our token, if we decide to launch, it is going to meant for both, for developers and for the companies as well. Because we just cannot just entertaining developers always, right? We also have to make them move upward. And to make them move upward, we need to ensure is like they are participating in those companies. So companies are also involved in the same fashion. So that is what our philosophy and go-to-market will be.
awesome. So it could be something like Chainlink, right? So token utility for Spheron.
Um, Token utility, we can discuss that as we kind of move forward. I cannot discuss those openly here. But the idea I'm telling here is like my focus is going to be very straightforward, is to bootstrap a network in a way which has all of these four components which I have talked about is taken care. Speculation, product, supply, and demand. If all of those things are there, our token will be covering either, it can be used as a payment token. I cannot comment on any of those things, but this is how we are kind of looking at.
That are kind of basic principle of managing the whole flywheel effect of any token. Amazing insight, Prashant. So Aarti, Helium, I think worked on supply side first, because they have a lot of incentive which have they have given to public initially at the initial stage. Now the incentive is kind of reducing, right? Because you are following this schedule where eventually incentive will dried up after like 30 or 40 years or something. There is a kind of long schedule for that. And you also have a BME model, which is kind of created to reduce the inflation. So would like to know how effective is the BME model and why you went to choose this BME model in place, and what is the long-term effect of all the supply and demand side in Helium?
Helium has this halvening schedule every 2 years. So think about it this way, right? The initial investors or the initial people who believed in the network, right? They get to earn more incentives on the network because these are the core community members. If you don't know about it, Helium has a governance where the entire community comes together, writes the proposals, votes. Helium's DAO has one of the highest engagement in voting, right? So how the incentive reduces over time is some of the early investors really believed in the network. They took the bet. They took the risk of providing that initial coverage where all these LoRaWAN sensors now have a wireless network to connect to. So if you think about how DePINs over time work, most of them will reduce rewards over time, and it is just for mass adoptability. More and more people want to come use the network, and the core community builders who are actually real participants, they are the stewards of the network. They are 180,000 people on Discord channel every day talking about, like, they don't really know much about antennas or radios. They don't even know how to keep their crypto wallets safe. But they have this mission of providing internet connectivity to all, and they are working to work on the network. So I think over time, the 100th or the millionth hotspot will not get the same reward as the first hotspot because the first hotspot community builder was the believer of the network.
That is amazing, and I think it's in kind of community-driven moment where cost is also getting reduced, and you guys are directly competing with all the Web2 major companies. I would say Helium is kind of is in competition with all the major telcos at some point. And so amazing insight, guys, and I think we are wrapping up this session here. And great talking with you all, and amazing insight, guys. Thank you.